Sorry, guys. A little bit behind. I kind of lost track of time there for a moment. Uh, yeah. But not a bad weekend of Big 12 football. I surely enjoyed it. Got a few hot takes on here that might piss some people off. Oh well. Was watching some Cowboys, and they're down a little bit. And surprisingly, the defense, which is just top shelf defense for the Cowboys these days, oh, they're just kind of getting ran all over by the Cardinals. Anyway, got the game paused. I'll catch up with it later on. But I thought that was interesting. But the offense still looks pretty damn good. The offense doesn't look bad at all. All right. Which one of these do I want to start with here? Oh, you know what? Let's start with Kansas. Let's start with Kansas. They had a nice win versus BYU. There. Maybe now y'all can hear me. Forgot about my damn mic. Anyway, yeah, the Jayhawks got themselves another beautiful win. And in my power rankings that I do every week, the Big 12 versus Pac-12 versus ACC, Kansas has just elevated itself pretty high up the list there. I believe that I have them as a number 3 team in the Big 12 right now. And they got Texas next week. So they're going to have their hands full. And I'm going to cheer like hell for Kansas. Like, come on, baby. Just go all out. Think about it. Texas has got Kansas. After that, they got Oklahoma. This is a trap game for Texas. All right. So Kansas just needs to, stay down. Don't say nothing wild. Just be respectful. Go out there on game day and just throw your best punches, man. Throw your best punches. See what happens. They got a good quarterback. The defense can make some plays. You got a good head coach. You could game plan. Just go out there and give it everything you got. And because Texas, they seem to be, they look ahead a little bit. They look ahead a little bit and don't see Wyoming sitting there. They pull that kind of stuff out. Maybe they look ahead to Alabama and they kind of forget about Rice for a half. That's the kind of thing they do. So Kansas, hey, it's a great win. They deserve to be where they are. And what you don't want to see is Texas start absorbing all the points out of the Big 12 as far as my point system goes. Collecting wins off of teams like Kansas, which is going to be ranked pretty high in my top 25. Not all the way towards the top, of course, but I haven't tallied it up yet, but they're probably making a case to be in the top 10 of my top 25 between those 3 conferences, not all of Division One. But Kansas State, this is where people are going to get beat. This is where people might be a little pissed at me. Here's the thing. That's a great win for Kansas State. Puts them right back into the mix when you're talking conference title. And the thing is, when I was watching that game, I'm not convinced Kansas State was the best team on that field. I think they're really good. They match up real well with UCF, and UCF definitely matches up well with them. I think there were some BS calls that hurt UCF towards the end of that game. McLean, he's a hell of a quarterback. He's a nice quarterback, and he's got a big arm. He made a couple boneheaded errors, though, that cost the team quite a bit towards the end in the fourth quarter. But I'll tell you right now, if that game was in the bounce house, if that was in Orlando, so if they play that next year in Orlando, UCF is going to beat them. I think that was the whole difference right there, just where it was played. And like I said, there were some really Kansas State friendly calls there And I don't mind. Hey, I don't mind Wildcats winning. That's fine with me. It was an exciting game, a good game, really fun contest to watch on TV. Uh, I just don't think that Kansas State is really better than UCF. I think they got lucky. That's what I think. I think and they made some nice plays too. Don't get me wrong. Um, the gimpy quarterback for Kansas State, his name's escaping me, but dude could play a little. He's for real. He really is. He gutted that out, and I thought that was really cool. But they had some things go their way. They had some calls go their way. It really helped for them to be, and by the way, you're facing a backup quarterback. And McLean's still pretty damn good, but he is the backup. And I think that did hurt UCF with some of the boneheaded decisions that he made later on in the game. But hey, congrats to K-State. I hope, nothing but continued success for the rest of the year, except when it comes to playing TCU. Speaking of that, West Virginia and TCU on the come up. Both of them 3-1. Both of them had some nice wins. West Virginia beats Texas Tech, and Tech. I don't know what it is about Tech. And look, it's not easy going into Morgantown and getting a win. And the Mountaineers have a damn good defense, and they showed it off. And they're going to be hard to beat. And West Virginia and TCU are playing next week. That's going to be an outstanding matchup. That's going to be tough. Now, I'm going to go with TCU on that because I think TCU's defense is also on the come up, but you don't need a lot of defense against that West Virginia Mountaineer offense. West Virginia is going to need all their defense to stop TCU. Chandler Morris is better than everyone thought he was after week 1. That's what I told everybody. Slow up on that shit. Damn, if I could. I am horrible with freaking names. I want to find this name of this one individual because I am at the end of the year. I knew I was going to do this. I was going to son of a bitch. Sorry, guys. Because towards the end of the year, I'm going to give this guy a world of shit. Trying to find who it was. He posts a lot, so I should have him on here, not too far away. Son of a bitch. Trying to find it. I want to get his name. I want to call him out. Damn it. Come on. Here we go. Jason Shear. And I do believe, senior editor, publisher at WildcatAuthority.com. I think he's done 24/7 sports in Arizona. Y'all probably have seen him on 365 Sports. I like him. I like him a lot. But he was talking some shit once after Colorado beat TCU about, TCU, bad defense, bad quarterback. And I'm like, whoa, that's not a bad quarterback. Now, I think Shedeur Sanders is a better quarterback, but I think Shedeur Sanders will have success in the NFL. And I think Morris, I think this is his top level. I don't think there is a next level for Morris. I don't think he's got that arm. But I don't think he's a bad quarterback, and I think he works in college football. And he's proven that. He's now 3-0 after that loss, and he doesn't look bad. He's not putting up like freak show numbers or anything, but he's good. And TCU's good. They're proving to be good. And after that game, I'm like, look, TCU's not a bad. They fell off. I'm like, they're still a good team, you dumb sons of bitches. And now everyone's seeing that. As far as West Virginia, is Neil Brown still on the hot seat? I think he is. But that's a bowl team. This is an improved West Virginia team. There's no doubt about that. And I know everyone's calling for Neil Brown's head in the offseason or pretty close to it. I just don't know. We're going to have to see how the rest of the year plays out. I don't think that West Virginia is going to be that bad, and I don't know if it's worth bringing in another guy, and you don't know what he can do. You Neil Brown's got a lot of positive traits, and maybe he's just had a rough go at the start being there in West Virginia. But he's put together a hell of a defense. If he could find a quarterback, Neil Brown might have West Virginia towards the top of the Big 12 every year if he finds a quarterback. So that's just something, quarterback, run game. I don't know. It just, I think it's a little bit too soon to call it on Neil Brown. Is his seat still hot? Yeah, it's warm. It's warm. If he could find a way to beat TCU, that will be huge. I know. I can't remember if he's got Texas and OU or just one or the other. I know he's got one of them. But if he could beat one of the top two teams on their way out, to me, it's not exactly about the number of wins that you end with this year. It's who are you beating for Neil Brown. If he could beat, a top shelf team, TCU, Texas, Oklahoma, someone like that, then let's talk. Then let's talk about keeping Neil Brown. But to me, it's about who you beat this year for old Neil. Because, some of the, try to remember if they got Houston or on the schedule or something like that. I can't remember. Some of these newer teams. Now UCF, I don't know if they got UCF or not. You know what? Again, let me go to the phone. Let me look up the damn West Virginia schedule before I start really talking out of my ass here. All right. Who they got coming up here? TCU. Yeah, then they got Houston. Okay, so let me just go away from. Let's look at it here. Houston. I think West Virginia will beat Houston all day. I think they'll beat Oklahoma State all day. Okay, they got Baylor at the end of the year. They should be able to get that. I think West Virginia can get Cincinnati. It's at home. So that's 1, 2, 3. That's 4 wins right there. They're 3 wins already. So that's 7 wins. 7-5 is perfectly doable for Neil Brown in West Virginia. However, that should not save his job. All right, because look, you got TCU, you got TCU, UCF, BYU, Oklahoma. So you got 4 teams, right? You got 4 right there. So they got to go to Fort Worth. They got to go to UCF. They got BYU at home, and they got to go to Oklahoma. So that's 3 really tough road games and a tough home game of those 4. He needs to win at least. He needs to win at least 2 of them to save his job, to me. So 7 wins doesn't get it. 9 wins. All right, let's say he loses to TCU on the road. And let's say they go into the bounce house, score a win. Let's say they win against BYU at home and then lose to Oklahoma on the road. Neil Brown should keep his job. All right. If he can go 2-2 in those 4 games, Neil Brown should keep his job. But he's got to beat the trash. He's got to beat Baylor. Cincinnati's not trash. All right, it's going to be a tough game, but they'll be favored in it. They need to win it. They need to beat it. They need to be able to go to Houston and win that game. They got Oklahoma State coming in. They got to win that game. So, of the 8 games remaining, 6-2. I mean, that would put them 9-3 for the season. 9 win. 9 wins. It's depending on who you beat. I think of those 4 big games they got left, the 4 real tough games they got left, if they drop all of them but beat Oklahoma, he keeps his job. And that's just not me hating on Oklahoma, which I do. But I think that's fair. That's a big time win. That's a big time win, and he needs to get that. Let me. You know what? Let me look up the TCU schedule. Let me look up this TCU schedule because their coach is nowhere near on a hot seat, but I do want to see what it looks like for TCU. All right. Of course, at home with West Virginia, they go to Iowa State. Well, that's a win. They got BYU at home. They should be able to get that one. It's a tough game, but they should be able to get it. K-State, they got to go to K-State. That's a tough game. That's a tough game. That to me, that's a 50-50 game. They go to Texas Tech. That's a win. They got Texas at home. I'll talk about that later. BYU at home. That's 4 wins. And then they end in Oklahoma. Woo! You got Texas and OU. So they should have 4 wins easy. 7 wins is easy for TCU. That should be easy getting right there. At Kansas State, they need to figure that one out. Then at Oklahoma, Texas at home. If TCU wants to get back to a conference title, which is not going to be easy, of those 3, they're going to have to win 2 of them. And 2 of them were home games. Texas, which is going to be really tough, and 2 of them actually are on the road. Did I say at home? Yeah, because Kansas State is on the road, and Texas is at home. They're going to have to find a way to handle up Texas at home. I'm not completely sold on Oklahoma. I think that's a toss-up game too. Texas is legit. They're going to be really tough to beat. I hate to say it, but they will be. And I don't think there's any kind of big game after that for Texas to, as far as skip. I think TCU is going to be one of the big games they have left at that point. So you're not going to catch them unawares. So it's going to be tough. That's tough road for TCU. But are they really better than, or have they really fell off that much? Or they still, like everyone seems to think, but they're really a good damn team still. I don't know. I don't think so. I think TCU's right there. Speaking of Texas, yeah, they just murderized the living hell out of Baylor. You're talking hot seats here. Dave Aranda is squarely on it. Squarely on it. So let's go to Baylor. Because I'm kind of chalking them up as wins against everybody right now because they just look like dog shit. They really do. And all apologies to Baylor fans out there. I respect the program, but let's be real. They are looking like hell right now. Next up, they got to go to the bounce house. That's a loss. They got Tech at home. And they got Tech at home. They can get that win. They got to go to Cincinnati. That's not unwinnable for Baylor. They could turn that around. They got Iowa State at home. That they can win that. They got Houston at home. They can win that. They got to go to K-State. That's a loss. They got to go to Baylor. That's a loss. And they got West Virginia at home, which is, it's probably a loss. So let's see. 1, 2, 3. I mean, Baylor could still win another 4 games. And they got win. That's 5 wins. So they got to They're going to have to pull out all the stops just to make a bowl game, just to get to 6-6. They got to beat West Virginia. They got to beat TCU or Kansas State. And none of that's easy. UCF, none of that's easy. Those are really, really tough matchups. K-State on the road's really tough. TCU is going to be really tough for them. Yeah, guys, I don't see Baylor. I mean, it's right there for them. It's going to be borderline. It's going to be borderline. I would not count them out of getting bowl eligible, but that's about as much as you can ask from Baylor this year. Can they turn it around and get bowl eligible? I know Dave Aranda is starting to be on a hot seat. If they actually finish worse this year than last year, yeah, you need to crank the fire up on that seat because that's bullshit. And what we all thought Dave Aranda was, apparently he isn't. Because there's no excuse to be that bad. Utah is winning big-time games without their starting quarterback. So I don't want to hear about it. BYU coming up in a level of competition with a Slovis who no one believes in. But they're 3-1 with Slovis. And they put up a hell of a fight in that one loss. So they've had a good season so far, unlike Baylor. I know Baylor's had tougher competition for the most part, but they're still losing to bullshit teams. Texas State, shut up. They're still losing to bullshit. But we do need to talk Colorado. Colorado, it finally happened. They got beat. They just didn't get beat. They got thoroughly freaking dominated, destroyed. Every phase of the game. And I remember earlier on in the week, I was watching Joel Klatt. I really like Joel Klatt a lot. He's really smart. He knows a lot about football, played for Colorado for years, been around the game forever. He's really good. But he'll also, what I do appreciate about Joel Klatt, he goes on to, he just doesn't work with the big-time media people at Fox or whatever. He'll come on to the local radio show here and talk to those guys, done that for years. He'll go on to smaller YouTubers as well. I've seen him in different places, not like super small. He's an in-demand kind of guy, so you can't expect everything. But I'm a fan. I'm a real fan. And his trepidation before this game, number one, was the offensive line of Colorado, which, if you think back to the Nebraska game, they were killing Shedeur Sanders. He sacked him 8 times in that game, somewhere in that neighborhood, and a ton of pressure. Other than that, TCU pressured him a little bit. Not enough, but a little bit. Colorado State was getting home nonstop. And the way he saw it, if your offensive line is having trouble, Oregon's not the ones you want to go against right now because their defense is teeing off on people. They're doing good. They can get to the quarterback, and they did. They harassed the living hell out of them. And the defensive line has got problems too. Both lines for Colorado, they're getting by with some smoke and mirrors and some really superior talent, like with Shedeur especially, but you can't block for him. You can't run for him. That's a problem. That's a real problem. And one of the things that I've noticed about Shedeur, it's a big negative in his game. As a matter of fact, I think it's such a negative he shouldn't go pro this year. He may go in the first round this year. People have been talking a lot of hyperbole. Oh, he'll easily be a top 10 pick this year. Slow down. I don't know about that. There's a lot of good quarterbacks possibly coming out this year. I don't know that he'd be a top 10 guy. He's a guy that would likely slide down into the bottom of the first round. Because here's the thing, when it comes to NFL and quarterbacks, there's two big negatives they don't like about quarterbacks coming out of college. Number one, turnovers. Obviously, a guy who has high turnovers, they don't want anything to do with. Even if all the other things are good, but he just turns the ball over too much, that's a problem. Another problem is you're eating too many sacks. You're taking too many hits. You're not doing your offensive line any favors. And you just hold the ball too long, and you don't have any kind of eternal clock. That clock isn't there, and you're getting annihilated. Those two things the NFL teams run from. Shedeur has a shitty internal clock. He can't see, for whatever reason, he doesn't really feel the rush much. Sometimes, yeah, but he has real trouble feeling it. And sometimes he'll run right into a sack. Or he's just, I'm sitting there counting 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000. I'm like, okay, why do you still have the ball at 3, 1,000? That's not what you see in the NFL or from superior quarterbacks within college, unless there's just, their offensive line is providing all kinds of time. There's certain reasons why you hold the ball that long, because you're able to. But Shedeur, and to his credit, he'll take a shot. He'll take a hit. He ain't scared to take a hit. But when you're losing 12 yards on a sack, can't do that shit. You might as well fumble the ball. You might as well. And I think he needs another year in the Power 4 level before he's ready for any kind of NFL. Because as far as being like a day one starter in the NFL, he'll get destroyed. He'll get blasted. They will sack the dog shit, because you're going to go to a bad team with probably a patchwork offensive line at best, or a very young, inexperienced offensive line. Either one isn't good. And Shedeur, from what I can tell, doesn't really set up protections very well. And I know his offensive line isn't that good, but he doesn't have a rapport with those guys. You can just tell he doesn't have a rapport with those guys. They're just out there playing. And that's a lot of that is because that offensive line's been put together through the transfer portal, and it's tough. It's tough to get those guys to gel. Sometimes it takes time for offensive lines to gel. And this one, there hadn't been enough time, and plus they're not that talented individually. So you put all that together, you're getting a disastrous type of game. Now they've been, I think, against more mediocre defenses. They could like next week against USC. Colorado, that will be a more competitive game with Colorado and USC. I don't know if Colorado will win it or not. USC will probably be favored by quite a bit, and they probably should be, but they don't have the defense that Oregon has. All right, they can't get after your quarterback in the same manner. Excuse me. Now, if they do end up getting to Shedeur a lot, then things are falling apart there in Colorado. But I'm predicting a shootout and probably anybody's game, because Colorado still has a ton of weapons if they have time to use them. And if you're getting a lot of pressure on Shedeur, he doesn't get rattled by it, but he just doesn't feel the pressure when sacks come. And that's a problem. That's something, I don't know if you develop it. I don't know if you can develop it. Maybe you get by it with an eternal clock, just like, hey, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3. I got this ball's got to be out of my hand. I got to do. And look, you see all the time other quarterbacks, whether it's the NFL, even that McClain kid for UCF. He made a couple of bonehead moves, but a couple of things he did really well. He was in the pocket, and really, you can't throw the ball away from the pocket, right? It's grounding, unless there's a receiver in the area. He always threw it where there was a receiver in the area, and he might throw it damn near a mile over their head, but they're there. You can't say grounding because you have a possible receiver there. He knows where everyone is. And I'm looking at Shedeur. I'm like, do you not know where your receivers are? Where you could throw something away at? That's I don't know if he just doesn't know, or guys aren't where they're supposed to be, but he's not throwing the ball away. I've watched every single one of these Colorado games. I didn't watch a lot of the Colorado State game, but I watched the other three, and he's not throwing the ball away. You got to be able to figure. I mean, I get on the Dak Prescott from the Cowboys for a lot of things, but the dude will throw the damn ball away. If there's a problem, he will throw the shit away. He's not just going to, eat a 12-yard sack all the time. Now, look, when the rush comes right up the middle, there's not a lot you can do. I mean, that really sucks for quarterbacks. And it's like I said, not every sack is Shador's fault, but there's quite a few of them that are. People aren't talking about it, but he's eating more sacks than, typical. Even with bad offensive lines, he's eating more sacks than typical quarterbacks do. That is on Shador. A lot of times your safety is your responsibility, not just the offensive lines. So that's what I've learned over my years of watching football. If you see a quarterback getting sacked a ton, trust me, it's not all on the offensive line. It has a lot to do with that quarterback too. Holy shit. I've talked for a while. 31 minutes. No comments. That's incredible. That's incredible. But is there any other game y'all want me to talk about? The Pac-12 still kicking ass. How about Washington State? 4-0. I didn't think they would beat Oregon State. That's shocking to me. It really is. I know Washington State's a good team. I know it's a good rivalry they got there, but I had no idea this year that they would beat Oregon State. That's incredible to me. Wow. Holy fuck, a comment. Kid repair. Yeah, Big 12's not looking bad. Not looking bad. They're not looking super great. Except for Houston, which makes me cry. Yeah, I mean, they got a nice win. I guess Sam Houston, it's something. It's something. What are they, 2-2 now? They're kind of on track. I don't know. I think most people had them at the bottom anyway. So being 500, 4 games in, what is that, third of the season? 500, third of the season? That's not too bad. It's not too bad. I still think they'll end up upsetting somebody. I think they'll end up upsetting somebody. I don't know who. But Houston's got that weird factor. That coach is weird. The town is weird. They'll get somebody that they're not supposed to beat. They're going to beat them just out of nowhere. Like, what? I think all these teams have that. BYU is going to catch somebody. BYU will catch somebody. UCF will catch somebody. Cincinnati, they're going to catch somebody. So everybody better look the hell out with those 4 new schools, because every single one of them is going to catch somebody. Catch somebody snoozing. Catch somebody looking over them. Catching somebody, being prideful and shit. They're going to come in there and they're going to punch them in the mouth. And they're going to snatch a win. If Dana gets Texas, they'll build a statue of him. They might. Beating Texas is a tall order for Houston. But it's like I said, everybody just needs to come out like Kansas this week. Give them everything you got. Empty the tanks. Don't worry about the week after. If you can get that win, that'll say a hell of a lot for your program. That's what everyone just has to do. Everybody, empty the tanks. You play Texas this year. Give them every last thing you got. All right. So last chance you're going to get them for a while, a long while for most of us. Most of these teams. Like, when's the next time Houston's going to play Texas after this year in non-conference? It may be years and years. So give them everything you got. Everything. Slap somebody in the face with your musky jockstrap, something. Yeah, but Washington State was a surprise to me. It was kind of a surprise to see Colorado get absolutely manhandled and destroyed and screwed in the butt like they did. I wasn't expecting that. Oregon's better than I thought they were. Oregon's way better than I thought they were. I knew they'd put up some points on Colorado, but I didn't think they would just smoke them like that and just shut down that offense. That was crazy. K-Dude, what's up, dude? Was that the KU BYU game yesterday? Well, that was a hell of a game. Kansas defense has improved by leaps and bounds. I hope they can catch Texas. Looking forward to OU. The Red River Shootout is the week after. That is true. I talked about that. This is a big, big, big trap game for Texas. This is the trappiest of the trap games that Texas probably has left on their schedule, because Kansas is very for real, and they're looking ahead to OU. They got circled on the calendar every year. And, this is the Jayhawks. Who cares, right? Well, this is the Jayhawks who's capable of taking you out. I mean, I don't think they'll blow Texas out or anything, but they can definitely sneak a win. And Texas, they have that looking forward and not looking at what they have coming up. And, this isn't Texas State coming. This isn't, I'll probably say a team that's actually really good. All right, this isn't Nowhere State. This is Kansas, and Kansas is not the Kansas of old. So to me, that's a big trap game. I think it's the trappiest game of next week of all the games. The trappiest game. Gary Chadwick, what's up, dude? K-Dude loved the Kansas game yesterday. Yeah, it was a good game. I believe so, Gary. I believe Kansas can beat Texas. It's the only thing that kind of sucks about Utah not being in the league this year. I think Utah and Kansas would be a hell of a damn game. I love what Utah is doing. Without their starting quarterback, was it Cam Rising? Yeah, that's one of the best damn names for a quarterback ever, Cam Rising. But Cam's been hiding this whole season so far. But Utah's still winning. They need them back, though, before you get to the Washingtons or the Oregon States. Washington State, apparently Washington State, everyone has snoozed on Wazoo. A pretty damn good team. Next year, I'm really looking forward to Utah coming in. And Colorado, too. That's going to be a lot of hype for those two. Arizona schools, hey, man, let's hope Arizona can do something, anything, something. I mean, they got another win last week, or this past weekend. They got another win in the old win column. So they're not doing horrible. New coach is not, they're not, it's not like Arizona State where you're just being embarrassed every week. That OSU Notre Dame game is G. I'll tell you what, Notre Dame inches of beating them. And they got Duke next week. So I don't know. Is there going to be a letdown with Notre Dame and Duke is going to catch them? Maybe. Might catch them snoozing, because Duke is pretty damn good this year. But yeah, man, they were real close to beating Ohio State. Notre Dame's a little better than people think. I know everyone likes to shit on them because they're Notre Dame, but they're pretty good. Foodie Memphis, what's up, dude? I'm glad for Coach Brown and the Mountaineers getting a win over Texas Tech. Hope they get everything headed in a positive direction. Me too, except for next week. I hope they get their ass whomped by TCU. But, we'll see. We'll see. Hear that, Coos? Coos' Corner? Yeah, TCU's coming for your ass. Coming for you. This ain't Pitt. This ain't Pitt, partner. It's a real team. This ain't Texas Tech. This is a real team. We'll light that shit up. I know you got a good defense, but you ain't seen a good offense yet. Here it comes. Classic, sure. Gary Chad, we can't wait for next year. Excited to be in the Big 12. I'm excited for those schools to come in here. I'm still down for the pods. We need the pods. It's very easy. It would be Utah, BYU, and the Arizona schools in one pod. Keep saying that. Keep the Texas schools together. You got TCU, Baylor, Tech, Houston. Super simple. A little northern pod there. Colorado, Oklahoma State, and the Kansas schools. There's your northern pod. Really easy. Everyone's right there. It's always that eastern pod that people get pissed off about. I don't know why. But apparently everyone wants Farmageddon. Because to me, Iowa State, which isn't really that far from Cincinnati, and Cincinnati's not that far from West Virginia. The outlier, of course, is UCF. But, hey, they bring a lot to the conference, so we got to deal with that. But to me, those four need to be in a pod together. All right, everyone's trying to say, oh, no, Houston, and then keep Iowa State. No. And the reason I say no, and people keep bringing up Farmageddon, no one gives a fuck about Farmageddon outside of two states. All right, this isn't the Red River. This isn't the Holy War. This isn't the Backyard Brawl. This isn't, is it even the Iron Skillet? The Iron Skillet ain't shit. TCU and SMU. That no one cares about that. So I'm not trying to be mean here, but SMU going to the ACC. Oh, no more Iron Skillet. I don't give a fuck. SMU can kiss my ass. I don't give a damn if we ever play them again. They ain't worth my time to even think about. Excuse me. Fuck. Yeah, excuse me. That's what happens to me when I talk about SMU. It's the pain in the ass. But Farmageddon, no one really cares about outside of two states. And you would still get Farmageddon like every other year. And maybe it would be bigger. Maybe it'd be a bigger deal, Farmageddon, if it wasn't every year, but every 2 years. I think it'd make it a little more special. Dude, the new Big 12 is going to be fun in both football and basketball. Dude, basketball is going to be lethal. It's going to be lethal. I mean, think about next year, just in basketball. How many teams do we have right now that can win a title? I mean, obviously Kansas can win a title. Wouldn't shock you if Kansas State did a little something. Because they've made deep runs before. Houston wouldn't shock you. Texas Tech wouldn't shock you. Hell, Arizona is Arizona shock you if they can win a title? No. Hell, Arizona State could win a title. I understand that it's not, they're not really known for the deep runs, but it wouldn't shock me if they got there. Iowa State can put it on you a little bit. West Virginia's, had a really salty basketball program for a while. I mean, you got just the depth. See, John, Farmageddon, baby, the old rivalry in Big 12. Well, it would still be there, just be every 2 years. And I think people would care more. I think it'd be a bigger deal. It's like, If the Olympics were every year, would anyone give a damn? No. But, every 2 years you got Olympics. Summer Olympics, then Winter Olympics, then Summer Olympics again. If you have Farmageddon every 2 years, I think it means more. I think it's a bigger, because if, whoever loses that game has got to eat that shit for 2 years. It's not the very next year they get another crack. Every 2. I think it'd be a really interesting way on building a little bit more with that rivalry, to have it as a bigger deal. To me, it's not an every year situation that people have to see. There's a lot of rivalries in college football, and a lot of them don't matter. Most of them don't freaking matter. But I think if you could stretch out the time, make it an every 2-year thing. Think about some games that went on this year. Kansas State and Mizzou. That's old school rivalry, right? Doesn't happen a lot. So it's special when it does. All right. Nebraska playing Colorado these last 2 years, I think, because they were Nebraska last year, Colorado this year. That's the first time they haven't played in a long time. And it's a classic rivalry between those two. So it was special because it hadn't happened in a while. I think Farmageddon would actually be a bigger deal if you had some space in between the games. Gary Chadwick, it will be awesome for us to have the Holy War again. We'll get our ass kicked in basketball. Yeah, but you know what? Look, I got faith in Utah that they'll put something in there. They'll make that a bigger deal. Let's see here. J Baller 54, what's up, dude? I'm as big a Big 12 fan as they come, but West Virginia winning a title in basketball, don't think so. Not for a while, anyways. Okay, maybe I'm not. Okay, you're right about that. I'm just saying that's a good basketball program. Wouldn't shock me if they get to the tournament next year. I mean, they'll probably be in the tournament most years. I fully expect West Virginia to be in the tournament most years. Now, maybe it's a lower seed and they get knocked out first round. But they'll have their years where they're competitive and they're going on a run. So don't count West Virginia out of going on runs. I don't know how they look for next year, but like I said, I know they're a respected program, basketball program. Of course, I think their coach got ran out of town, which sucks. So we'll see how that goes. All right, guys. I'm about to hit the ejection button for this week. I appreciate you guys for being here. And the football's been fun. I just have to get back to the Cowboys. Got to see how that turns out. Watching all this college football has been fun, but my God, it's just not the Cowboys. J-Baller 54. Oh, yeah, that I will agree. The Big 12 is loads of basketball for sure. As you mentioned, KU, Arizona, K-State, Baylor, Tech. And I guarantee you in the future, you can add UConn onto that list. Maybe that's a weird take for some people, but I think that'll happen. Anyway, guys. Holy shit, English sucks. Thanks for being here. I'll be back with plenty of content this week. I'm on vacation, and I'm going to throw videos out on you. Maybe even quite a few you don't even want or like. Maybe you don't even understand why they exist, but they will. Coming at you like a bitch. So, peace out. Have a good Sunday. Enjoy your week. For all you dumb bastards that's got to work, I don't have to. Later.